Appreciate that.
We're live. All right. Martha should be here in just a minute, but in the interest of time, so we can get down and get ready for this concert tonight, we'll go ahead and get started with our Public Safety Committee. The purpose of the meeting this afternoon is to go over the CELEA accreditation process that Chief Hawkins would like to undertake. And before we do that process, I just want to have the committee have an opportunity to understand what CELEA is and what it means for the department, why we're doing it, what all is involved. So I'll turn it over to Chief Hawkins.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chief.
Thank you for allowing us to come and speak with you about this very important topic. I'm going to turn it over to Bill Carey here in just a minute because he is our resident expert. But just as a quick introduction, I know from the time I came in, one of the things I've told you is we want to really raise the bar with expectations and with the duties and responsibilities of officers. So one of the ways to do that for accountability, that we can serve our citizens better, is through accreditation, because it sets that, and regardless of who is in charge at that point, there's a standard that is set, and Bill will really explain that. Because something I've seen over the years, you have a chief come in and they really set things in place, and then you can go backwards sometimes. Now you can still do that in accreditation, which he would talk about, but then they're accountable, because then your manager and your council actually knows that, because you lose your accreditation. So that's something that I really feel strongly about. We started putting this in motion from the time that I got here, but there was a lot of work to do before we could ever get to the point of really getting our policy. We had a lot of training, a lot of equipment purchases that need to be done, and a lot of strategic things that need to be put in place. So I'm going to let Bill talk to you so that we have a good understanding of what CELEA is and what it will mean for the city and our residents. So if I can turn it over to Bill.
Thanks for letting me come up today and speak to you a little bit about it. And it's kind of a, it's kind of an animal that a lot of police departments look at and are like, oh, that's going to be tough, but it's something I think Belmont Police Department is going to be able to take on and be able to accomplish. With everybody on board, with the chief on board, with the council on board, the citizens will see great outcomes with this. So I'm going to briefly go over the history of CELEA, go through eligibility requirements, the process itself, why it's important, the support system and network that's put in place with it, and have some final thoughts, and of course offer any time for questions as well. So briefly on history, created in 1979, mainly to improve law enforcement standards and maintain a comprehensive body of standards. In other words, putting in place a national system that holds all law enforcement officers accountable and kind of offers a guide, whereas before there was no guide. It was kind of just agency by agency, and that can cause problems down the road, especially if you have some corruption troubles and whatnot. It was created by 4 independent law enforcement bodies. That's the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, the National Sheriff's Association, and the Police Executive Research Forum. So very diverse group of individuals coming together and deciding on this body of work and creating it, so they can have ever influencing comprehensive standards. And so the main focus of CELEA is that it offers independent accreditation, so third party, nobody affiliated with the federal government or with the local government, but instead a nonprofit that comes in and looks at your standards. And that allows for collective use of thousands of professionals, so a huge network of chiefs, law enforcement professionals that can actively engage. And it offers recognition to outstanding law enforcement agencies, so it's kind of that gold stamp. They even call it the gold standard of law enforcement, so it kind of gives you that seal of approval. So eligibility, we of course meet these, but it's to be a legally constituted government with responsibilities to enforce laws, and the agency must be providing law enforcement services and have eligibility verified by the commission. The commission is just kind of the council of CELEA. There's 29 people appointed to that, most law enforcement professionals. So this is the process that kind of takes place whenever we go into CELEA. And we're before this process, we're preliminary. The first step's enrollment, all done online. They have a website which is CELEA.org. You sign up, you submit an application pretty much, and then they get in contact with you. I've already been in contact with some of the regional professionals in CELEA, talked to them preliminarily, trying to get prepared for everything. But at that point, you would officially start the process. And once you start the process, you're assigned a person kind of helps guide you through it. From there, you perform a self-assessment, which we're kind of already doing, just kind of beforehand. And the self-assessment, it is as long as 36 months they give you to kind of look within, look at your structure, look at your procedures. But from whom I'm talking to, most law enforcement agencies don't take that long. Hopefully they have everything set in place already, so it takes just a few months to get going on the process. From there, it's an on-site assessment, and this includes them virtually looking at our policies, looking at our proofs, seeing the evidence that we're following their standards, and then they come on to an on-site visit similar to what we did when we did our audit last year with NCLM. Come on, ride with officers, talk to the administration, talk to staff, and kind of see, make sure we're meeting those standards. So from there, there's a commission review and decision, so sit in front of a commission board, and they kind of review, ask questions, and then make their final decision and determination. And from there, if you are successful, it's all about maintenance and reaccreditation every 4 years. They come in and do another on-site assessment and kind of make sure everything's still in place from there. So as far as importance concerns, there's a few of the primary importances with CELEA. So it provides a management tool for agency administration and operations, similar to what the chief said. When you've got this in place, you've got this accreditation standard in place, no matter the change of power, no matter who's in the administration, they have to meet these standards or risk losing their accreditation, which then the public is going to know. We don't want, obviously it's kind of a deterrent for bad behavior. It produces better trained public safety personnel, and as the chief said, we've already kind of met a lot of the training requirements of CELEA, but this kind of sets a standard, says no, these are the training requirements, we're meeting these requirements no matter what, going forward. Limits an agency's liability and risk exposure, so when you're looking at officer safety, you're looking at the interactions with the public, there's a ruthless risk of liability, being sued, insurance can decrease, and such things of that. And then it promotes greater accountability within the communications center. And although we do that through Gaston County Communications, they do cooperate with Gastonia already with CELEA, and this kind of allows them to make sure our residents are being served with quick response times and the most efficient way they can. And of course, finally, it demonstrates verification of excellence. Again, it looks good. Everybody says, oh, their police department's really meeting the standards and serve their public the best they can. So some support and benefits that are offered with CELEA. So again, greater accountability, which is always a good thing. Can't complain about that. Reduced risk and liability exposure. And here, kind of a little anecdote that many agencies report a reduction in liability insurance costs, and often that can come to reimburse any fees they may have in place with CELEA. Stronger defense against civil lawsuits and staunch support from government officials. So it kind of provides evidence to an agency's commitment to excellence. So kind of wrapping up on the process itself, it kind of represents an important aspect of law enforcement agency reputation and compliance. Nearly every distinguished police department follows CELEA standards, and if not follows them, is actually accredited. With new political and social tensions, CELEA offers a way to navigate complex environments. We all know the news, what's going on, especially with law enforcement. Being a CELEA standard really protects you from a lot of risk exposure. And law enforcement is better represented as a collective. So this coming into a police department kind of gives everybody a badge of honor in the police department so that they can be better officers, so that they can be better representative of the citizens. So with that, is there any questions or concerns you have regarding the process? Anything I need to explain better?
What does the CA stand for in CELEA?
CA?
I know what the LEA stands for, Law Enforcement Agency, but what does CA stand for?
Commission on.
Oh, Commission on Accreditation. Okay, all right. Anybody else in Gaston County CELEA certified yet or accredited yet?
Gastonia.
Yes, that's what I was going to, so Gaston County Police Department and Gastonia City Police Department. And I was fortunate to be at Gastonia City Police when we were going through the process. So before we jumped in and started paying the money, we have set ourselves that when they get here, and we work closely with Gastonia, I have access to all our policies. We share an attorney, which was one of the reasons I thought that was a great idea, because the policies are already vetted out through her, so it's easy for her to look at our policies and know that they meet the standard. So all that stuff's been put in place, but that's the 2 agencies that are accredited in Gaston County. Something very unique, and I know Bill, through his study, there's very few agencies our size that achieve CELEA accreditation. And this is a major undertaking. It's not a small task. And we did the North Carolina League of Municipalities risk assessment. It's like the state version. That was a good test run for us to get everyone in the mindset of what we're about to go through, because it's very taxing. There's a lot of standards, but to me it's worth it, because, as he said, on the back end, we're going to gain, one, the respect. It helps you in a lot of ways, even getting, when you apply for grant funding, and it's a lot easier for your standards to be, they can come in, someone can come in and challenge your standards, but when you say, hey, we're following the International Association of Chiefs of Police and we're following the National Accreditation Guidelines, we're part of it, it makes people back off because they know that that's been vetted out. Yeah. And they know that it's a solid standard. It's
constantly updating and changing, so they're very proactive and reactive on issues.
So they have really defined training that schedule and scope that all officers must go through depending on position or whatever.
Yeah, their standards, and what is unique about it. So they set a standard to say, okay, your policy says that you are doing this training. Okay, now you have to show proof that everyone has accomplished this training. You can't just say, oh yeah, we do that training. Yeah. It's when they come and look at you and do your audit, and they say, okay, you said that you're tracking use of forces. We want to see it. And so that's where it really holds you accountable. So, like I said, when you have a change of power, somebody comes in, that standard's never lost again, or the manager in this group here knows about it, because when the powers to be there call the city manager and say you just lost your accreditation because the standards were not being followed. So it's a real good way to keep that accountability, and which is, that's something we've just been putting in place since we got here. And we have a lot less work to do right now, and even when they come in, because we started putting those policies in place. Bill's position, I'm going to back up for just a minute, when Skip Clark was here, the three police assistant positions, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, when he put those in place, one of those positions was to do the CELEA, or that type thing, the policy job. But that is far beyond a police assistant's job, as we were talking about, because there's a lot of even the system that he has to work in, the Power DMS, and it's just it's a process. You're talking about someone that's has to read and interpret policies, compare it. It has to meet with our city personnel policies, city ordinances, state and federal laws. It's way more involved than just a basic position. So, but we're excited because as far as the equipment, we actually far exceed training requirements set forth by CELEA standards by far. Belmont Police Department, and as I shared with this group before, we have the state mandated training, and then a lot of your agencies, certain people are certified to be intoxilizer operators or radar operators. That's something we require all of our officers. That's the goal. And the crisis intervention training, the customer service, all those different types of training, the racial intelligence training, I require every single officer to do that. So now we do have specialized people in different training, like driving instructors, firearms, but on the basics, the de-escalation, everything, I make that across the board. Everyone, even our civilian employees, go through a lot of that training. Yeah. So we far exceed those standards already. So I'm very proud of that, and it takes the council's support to do that, because I know I have come and asked for things, but this is why, because we have been working to get this in place to make, in my opinion, and I think y'all share the same, we want Belmont to be the best of the best. And so our goal, because the police department can cause a lot of heartache for a city, a manager, a council, and we all know that. It takes, just sometimes you get wrongly accused, but sometimes police departments really mess up, and then it causes a lot of bad publicity. So It costs some money to the city when we get into this process, but, the cost is minimal for what it would, initial startup fee would be about $18,000, $18,000, and then it would cost us a few $1,000s a year to maintain that. To me, that's a small price to pay for the game. But we will not do that. Our plan right now is by the end of this month, all of our policies, because we have gotten the information, we know what the policies need to say. Most of them were in place already we've been working on it since you came here about a year ago. So when we're this summer, June, July, and August, we want the officers to get really acclimated to all the new changes, and then about September, we're looking to call them in to start the official process. But we did that in Gastonia as well. We did a lot of things up in the back office before we called them in. That way we didn't have a long process with them.
Yeah.
We had it all, most of it packaged up for them when they got there. And that's what we've been, since I came in, I told everyone, and our people are really on board. I said, we want to go to CELEA. We want to be CELEA. And surprisingly, a lot of people did and say, oh, no, yeah, they're excited about it because they want to be better.
Good. Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Well, I told you he needs to be dismissed after this because I'm going to discuss his position here, so he wasn't privy to hear. Currently, we have the three staff positions, staff assistants, police assistants, several different titles that they've been called. So two of them do the general duties of answering the phones, doing all of our back office records, data entry, all of those things. And that is a very important job, not to minimize it. As I said, this other job, other agencies have what they call CELEA managers, problem analysis research, the PART unit. So that position, it's being a high-level position, requires a lot more skills than just a general police assistant does, and you have that. I won't bore you with reading that to you here. But it requires more education, more training, more experience, and a lot more dedication. It's just a lot more work involved, and a lot of technology, a lot of high-skill work. So I am asking to change that position, that one position, from police assistant to our problem analysis research center director and CELEA manager. And right now that would entail, and we're starting lower on the grade. A lot of agencies in that grade, those people are making 50, 60, 70, them making really good money for that stuff because it's very intense. Because he also, not only that, but does a lot of the crime stats and pulls all that data and puts it all together, which helps us to be better. And every month with that CELEA, they have to do crime stat reports to the chief, and so there's a lot involved in it. So I'm asking to change. There's about a $5,000 difference in what that person makes now.
How much?
About a $5,000 per year difference. And to say what that person makes now and what I'm asking that grade to start at there. And, we know that, later on that could change, but currently Bill is in that position. He holds a master's degree, and he has a lot of skill and level for this position, which is why I got him in there. But I knew that this job entailed a lot more than just basic roles. If you see a lot of the PowerPoints and a lot of the stats and things that come from us, he's the one that prepares those in the back office. And you need that. If you're going to be a successful high-level police department, that's what you need. You need to be proficient in those skills.
Just curious, he seems like a very bright young person. What's his career path?
I asked him for 3 years. I know that he has a lot of talent and that he's very marketable, but he has an interest in government, and so he would like to to get that skill set, and I told him I think it'd be great because in the police department you can learn about every area of government.
Yeah.
And so he knew that, and he was just graduating college or getting ready to graduate college when all that started. So it was a good opportunity for him to get in government work, but he's committed to this project, and he's done a great job at it. So, but do I think I'll keep him to retirement? No. No. But I'll keep him as long as I can.
Yeah.
But even when he leaves to replace that position, you know, it's something that we were fortunate that he was around here and I was able to get him in that position. But when he, you know, whoever fills that role will have to have a pretty high level skills around technology and things.
So are you saying to get him to the minimum would be like a $5,000
Well, yeah, about 4,000 to the minimum, which is
whatever?
So Chief, what exactly are you asking for?
I'm asking to change, we want to keep the 2 police assistant titles the same, but I'm asking to change the 1 police assistant to this problem analysis research center director and CELEA manager. You have to have a CELEA manager in order to be CELEA.
So you're just asking to change that position and bump it by 5,000?
Yes, sir, there's a price difference in that range. It was, or to a different grade, I'm sorry now, but yes.
Yes, so the formal action we'd like for the committee would be to recommend to the city council that we basically would create this new position. And we go from 3 police staff assistants to 2 police staff assistants and 1 policy research analyst and CELEA administrator with this job description. And then I've put this in the budget, so we're good for next year. But you will need, because this would be a new position, not a net new position, but a new position within the city council has to approve that. So it would be just to recommend.
So you're going to eliminate 1 position, create a new one, and bump the salary
Yes, sir.
difference maybe 5,000?
Yes.
I make a motion that we create the policy research analyst and CELEA administrator and eliminate 1 of the staff assistant positions to accomplish that.
I second it. You
I'm
vote.
fine. I was waiting this because I want to make sure you include grant writing in this position than you have, so. yeah.
Yeah, and
That was-
that's another thing,
that was a
I'm
big-
sorry, I left that out.
Yeah,
He-
because
he-
that's kind of
as well.
important. Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work, that's why I said, regardless if he's in this position or someone else is, we're not going to get it for what we're currently paying. That's,
I noticed
you know,
I was on-
that's really difficult.
The assistant shop, which to me, you're not likely to get that ability, but with this position with him, it's
And
something I
Bill's
think
helping
you
me with
have.
that governor's highway safety grant.
Yes. So any of the grant
That's
stuff,
awesome.
all that stuff is funneled to him and he takes care of it. So there's a skill set. That's why I said we were fortunate, and of course I don't know how long that will last, but he's getting it done. Like I say, we move very fast. As a matter of fact, I was involved in the process in another agency going to CLIA, and we did not move that. So we've been everybody's jumped in there, and we have a policy committee right now that's changing things and getting things going, and we're really excited about this. I think it'd be great for our city. Like I said, agencies our size, just not common for them to be CLIA accredited. So I think it'd be great for us, for the city.
Yeah, I said I'm in agreement.
Okay, so
It was like heavy
all in
hands.
favor then?
All in favor, say aye.
I make a motion we adjourn.
It's Friday, right?
Friday is 4:25.
Thank y'all.
Hey, just some more about Bill. Where'd you find him?
Here?
He lives in Belmont? He's from
He
Belmont?
lives in Hickory. He did an internship with us when Jamie was his intern supervisor, I guess 2 years ago. He was he had already graduated from college and was getting his master's degree in public administration from UNC Chapel Hill online, doing 9 classes and a couple of classes there. And Justin Amos, who goes to our church, who has a master's degree in public administration from Chapel Hill, contacted me and said they have interns in the area that need internships, and he thought Bill would be a good fit for Belmont. So he connected us, and he worked with Jamie, and so he got a little bit of everything that we do around here for, what, 9 months or so? 6 months?
I think it was like 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months, okay. And then the chief had a staff assistant position available, and so he that was a good sort of entry into the city.
I need someone with the skill set to do that.
Sure.
And he enjoys it, and he's learning a lot. So that's what he wants to do, learn. I told him, this will be a great opportunity for you to learn government, because we do. It encompasses everything in government, the police department. About everything starts there. You know, no matter what issue it is, we generally get called to the code enforcement or planning and zoning issue or whatever they call us to fix it. So it's just a good experience for that. This job here, he has a lot of technical skills, so that's
Good.
really been good for us. And
Good.
and reading policies, that takes a special person to compare.
Very good.
Backing it all, so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, you're gonna make sure that the weather stays good for the concert too, Chief, right?
Cross the
Put
fingers.
the order in.
Good.
Just like last night, it was raining, I put the order in.
Right.
We got through it. We did run out of hamburgers, but we got the order in, but you didn't let it hard left.
That's right, I was there when the chef was cooking, so I didn't miss out.
That's right.
But now, we shared, Sam made a hamburger, I ate a hot dog, so we didn't take up a whole lot of the
I told them, they said,
food.
you know, we put it out to the police department. We kind of anticipate the other people coming. We put it out to the police department, tell them, everybody, let us know how many people. Within half of them sign up, and then he showed them. So we had prepared for like 100 people, and of course it was no big deal. They ran right up through the store, the can fired the grill back up, and so we were good. I think everyone had a good time, had a good turnout.
Good.
It was good. So,
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
okay. Thank you.
You're gonna go turn the device on. So Martha, you're good to go for welcoming everybody to the concert tonight?
I am. Lauren Packard,